I'm Dan Haines, a lecturer in the department, and I have a few points of advice for each year. What else have we got? The first year, the key thing I would say is to find out how, where, when and why you work best. As you adjust from A-level to a degree, you'll find yourself having an enormous amount of freedom. Although contact hours have been rising recently in art subjects, you'll still spend a lot of your time in the library or otherwise not in direct contact with your tutors. That means you can work whenever and wherever you want within reason. So experiment. Find out what works for you. You might not be someone who likes getting up at 8 in the morning and working steadily from 9 till 5. When I was a first year, I really enjoyed writing essays after getting back from a night out while slightly drunk. I don't know, it just worked for me. On the other hand, I found out that I couldn't read while hungover. So figure out how you work and manage your timetable accordingly. Try and find the sweet spot between your preferred working methods and the schedule of deadlines that you'll come up against. Getting the most out of lectures, I thoroughly recommend trying to stay awake, get a strong coffee on the way in, drink it, and try and prop your eyes open with matchsticks. What else have we got? Second years. Second years you'll find that the standard goes up quite sharply. Arguably the difference between second year and first year is even bigger than the difference between first year and A-levels. But there's hope. Firstly, you know what you're doing. You've been at uni for a whole year. You've probably got your work patterns figured out. You know how to get into a book, figure out what it says, and come up with a coherent argument. The key thing to do is to up your game. We demand more in terms of reading, more in terms of thinking, more in terms of writing. Take advantage of your tutors, your seminar tutor and your personal tutor. Go and see them, make use of their office hours. Don't leave it until the week before you submit an essay because that's when everyone else is going to be queuing up. Try and get in early, when the tutors will have more time and they can talk more specifically with you in detail. You might also find that in second year you're required to do a lot more of what we call connective thinking. The way that a historian traditionally approaches a topic is by finding out all about a particular period or time or place and looking at the historical processes and events that are relevant to that. Then, if you're really advanced, you might think about theory and concepts and philosophy. In other disciplines, particularly the social sciences, scholars start with theories. They start with big concepts and then they choose empirical case studies to illustrate the points they want to make. As you go into the more conceptually advanced units of second and third year, particularly rethinking history and the reflective history unit in third year, you'll need to deploy a lot more of this kind of connected thinking, so don't be afraid of big ideas. What else have we got? I also recommend, as you go into second year and also as you go into third year, have a good look at the marking criteria. They change year by year, and the received wisdom, more or less, is that it gets 10 points harder in each year. So if you write an essay that gets a 70 in first year, at second year it would be likely to get a 60. That means that there's a pretty steep learning curve. Studying the marking criteria, discussing it again with your personal tutor and with your seminar tutors will give you a fairly strong idea of what's expected year on year. It's nothing spectacularly new. The basic principles of reading, research, clarity, putting forward an argument and backing it up with good, clear evidence remains absolutely the same. Since I've coordinated Rethinking History for a couple of years, I might as well say something about that. It's a compulsory unit that runs in TB1, the first term of second year, and it's an opportunity for you to really expand your horizons, change the way you think about history and become exposed to different kinds of history. In first year, you'll have got to know a little bit about the main areas of history that we cover by time period and by geography. Second year and third year you have a lot more options, so use Rethinking History to expose yourself to as many different kinds of historiography as you can. Choosing a research project. This applies to second year special field projects and third year dissertations. You need to find the balance between something that's achievable and something that maintains your enthusiasm. you're the one who has to live with this, either for an entire teaching block in the case of second year, or for the entire year in case of third year. So choose something that you care about, but also that you can actually find sources for. And do look into your primary source base as early as you possibly can. It's the most important thing. And if your primary sources aren't available, it's quite difficult to do something about it at the last minute. A final tip for third year is when you come to your dissertation. There's every chance that by the time you finish your dissertation project and you finish writing the essay, you'll know a lot more about your topic than your supervisor does. So you have to use a supervisor in the right way for a dissertation. The supervisor's not there to hold your hand through every stage, although they will give you guidance whenever you need it. You can get the best out of your supervisor if you do plenty of preparation and if you turn up to supervisor meetings with strong ideas that you want to bounce off your supervisor. You can also ask them for practical help in terms of structuring and referencing at a later stage. Yeah, please cut out the swearing.